This is the meeting of the RM of Springfield planning meeting for April the 24th of 2025. We are starting at 6 p.m. I'm Mayor Patrick Therrien. Everybody is present, all of the council. I'll introduce them. To my right is Deputy Mayor Councillor Glenn Fuel. Next is Councillor Andy Kaczynski. Next is Councillor Mark Miller. Next will be Melinda Warren. If I can get, we'll move into this right away. It's a pretty short agenda. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that to please, Mark and Glenn? Any additions or to the agenda? And I see none. If I get a show of hands, are those in support? Is unanimous, therefore carried. Adoption of the minutes there. Can I get a mover and a seconder for 4.1, please? Melinda and Glenn.
Whereas the minutes of the council meeting held January 23rd, 2025 have been previously distributed to council, be it resolved that the same be and are hereby approved as amended. Remove on item 5.3, the chair close the evidentiary portion of the meeting.
Questions, additions from council? I see none. I can get a show of hands of those in support of the adoption of 4.1. That's unanimous and is therefore carried. We'll go to 4.2, planning minutes for March the 27th of 2025. Mover and seconder, please. Glenn and Andy.
Whereas the minutes of the council meeting held March 27th, 2025 have been previously distributed to council, be it resolved that the same be and are hereby approved.
As read by our CEO, any questions, additions from council? I see none. Can I get a show of hands of those in support? That is unanimous and therefore is carried. We'll get into the public hearing portion now. I'll have to read the following into the record. Procedures for public hearings under the Planning Act. Public hearings matters will now be heard under the Planning Act. The public hearing process is as follows. One is the public notice will be read out indicating the intent of the application. Number two, the development officer will provide a summary and information pertaining to the proposal. Or number three, those that wish to make representations speaking on the planning matter must sign in. You'll be given an opportunity to make a presentation or speak on the matter presented before council. Opportunities for presentation or to speak on the matter will be in the following order. A is the applicant will speak or make presentation on the proposed application. B, inquiries. This will give the opportunity to ask for clarification on what the planning matter is proposed. And C is those in favor. This will give those in favor the opportunity to speak. And last will be those in opposition. This will give those that are in opposition the opportunity to speak. When you begin speaking, please state your name and address. Reminder to at all times speak to the chair or myself. And four, once everyone has had an opportunity to speak, council may close the public hearing on the matter, after which further input from the public will not be permitted for the legal reasons. It is important that if you wish to speak and be heard on the planning matter, now is the time to make representation. Again, once I have closed the public hearing, no further discussions will be allowed. With that being read, we'll go to 5.1, and that will be a variance under 2504 under Potter. Mover and a seconder for that, please. Mark and Andy.
We have zoning variance 25-09. The proposal is to permit a side yard setback of 34 feet instead of the required 50 feet, and a rear yard setback of 37 feet instead of the required 50 feet for the construction of an attached garage as per section 8344 and 5 within the AR Agricultural Restricted Zoning District. This is located at 67068 Vernon Road in the southeast quarter of 8125. Mr. Potter is requesting council's approval for the reduced side yard and rear yard setbacks, again for the construction of an attached garage to the dwelling. Based on the submission provided and the site inspection conducted, I have no concerns with the placement of the attached garage in reference to the property lines within the attached to the dwelling unit. If council were to consider this variation, I would offer the following condition. Number one, that the applicant obtain the required municipal building permits. Thank you, Mayor Tarian.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. Would the applicant, Stephen or Melanie Potter, be present or online? Mr. Potter, you heard what Mr. Doucette said. Is there anything more you want to add to that? Okay, so I'll say that's a no then. Okay, ordinarily we'd have it come up here, but you already said no. I'm satisfied with that. Then what we'll do, we'll open it up to the public portion here for inquiries. Those online or in the audience. You just came in, sir. Are you having anything to do with Mr. Potter at all for inquiries or anything? Okay. Then I see nothing in the audience or online. Then I'll open it up for those in favor and or those in opposition in the audience or online, and I don't see anybody. So at this time here, I'll open it up to council. Any questions at all from council? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a question for the proponent or Mr. Potter, if possible. Yeah. You have a very unique property and a very nice location. I've been to it, as you know, and you expressed to me, I think behind you is a gravel or an aggregate pit. Have you seen, and with this proposed garage, do you foresee any problems with loiterers or people who ought not to be there? In other words, before you have expressed, and it's quite evident because of the transmission line and because of the pit behind you, that you do get people just curious to see what's down there, so to speak, right? So are you going to be prepared to have that continue to happen? In other words, I want to make sure you're safeguarded for your property. So yeah, the way that we have it in our chart, I know you can't necessarily see this, but it looks like the garage itself will go, hey?
There we go. Now I'm unmuted.
Yeah, it looks like the garage is kind of going towards the transmission line. I mean, which is fine, but I just know that you've expressed and others have expressed, again, the lingering of people, and I just want to make sure that you have the appropriate security measures in place for any vandals or any other abusive behavior that might take place there.
Well, I appreciate you asking. So now I understand where you're going with it. So we leased that whole hydro section there. So then I told them, I said, can I put up a gate here? And they're like, yeah, as long as we can unlock it. So I put up a little rope for now with reflective stripes on it. And then I cut the rope, like I actually cut it. And the neighbor watched me, and then I cut it on the other end. So if anyone ever hits it, it'll just break right away. So it's sort of hanging by a thread. So we did that, and then we set up some cameras and recorder, like a Rio Link and so forth. So it's pretty good. Occasionally we get some motion in the middle of the night, but so far nothing nefarious, just bears and deers. And so it's kind of calmed down now that the place is occupied. It's definitely dropped off. When we first were building there was a lot. So we were speaking with the RCMP and Springfield Police a lot because people were showing up to party, but now the word is out, so it seems to be a lot better.
Excellent, and I wanted to reassure you that definitely use that resource, the Springfield Police, to chase out any vagrants or anybody else that ought not to be there, because we want to, of course, have a safe community, not only at your place, but in the aggregate pits, right, that are adjacent to you, so.
I joined the COPP at their last meeting there, so that was kind of nice to listen to the officer speak and meet some of the other people that are keeping an eye. So, yeah, thank you very much.
No, and I appreciate that, and definitely keep council or me as your counselor apprised, because if there is concerns, we want to make sure that all residents are safeguarded against that kind of nonsense. So,
No, I appreciate it. And I'm still in touch with the gravel pit owners there. So I had made a bit of a deal with one of them. I said, every time I drive through, I'll pick up some garbage, as long as you're okay that I drive through once in a while. And he said, okay, as long as you're picking up garbage. So the boys at the dump now know that I will bring tires and whatever I find there. And actually, last time they said, well, we don't accept railway ties, and then they changed. So whatever we had said here changed it. So now they accept the railway ties and whatever I bring in, and so they're really good. So that's actually getting cleaner back there. I won't be moving concrete, but any of the movable garbage will get moved. So
Well, you know what? I have to say you're the perfect neighbor. So
Yeah.
I encourage you to keep that rapport with them and with us in a community. So
Well, thank you very much.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from council? I see none, and we're prepared to read it. We can vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there's no other questions from council, and I'm satisfied everybody has been heard in the public here. I'm prepared to close the public hearing. No further questions will be allowed. We can do the reading. We can vote.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Steve Potter, owner of the property located at 67068 Vernon Road, for a variation of the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. Whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 6 variances has been met, be it resolved that variation order number 2509 be granted subject to the one condition.
Thank you. With that being read, can I get a show of hands? Those in support? That is unanimous and it is carried. Thank you, Mr. Potter. We'll go to 5.2. That's a variance under Kaufmann. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Patrick and Melinda.
We have zoning variance 25-11. The proposal is to permit a business fascia sign to be erected on the west side of the wall of the building, not facing a public street as per table 3331, and the business sign having a maximum letter height of 1.16 meters, being 3.83 feet instead of the required 0.6 meters, being 1.97 feet as per section 3333 within the MB Industrial Business Zoning District. This is located at 38 Sunflower Close within the southwest quarter of 2910-4. Mr. Kaufmann, on behalf of Electra Signs Limited, is requesting council's approval to allow for the signage to have an increased letter height on their business fascia sign, and to have and to erect the fascia sign on the west side of the wall of the existing industrial building. As per section 33.3 states, fascia signs shall not have letters over 0.6 meters in height and which exceed 80% of the building width. Under table 33.3.1 of the zoning bylaw, fascia signs are only permitted on the wall facing the public street. Based on the site inspection, I have no concerns with the increased letter height on the fascia sign or the placement of the signage on the west side of the existing industrial building. If council were to consider this variation, I would offer the following condition. Number one, that the applicant obtain the required municipal permits. Thank you, Mayor Tarian.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. There would Mr. Andy Kaufmann be in the audience or online? I don't see that he's present here. Then we'll open it up to the public hearing portion for inquiries. Those in the audience or online. I don't see any here. Then I'll open it up for both those in favor and those in opposition and or those in the audience. None. For those online, I don't see any. Then open it up to council. Any questions at all with regards to 5.2? I see no questions. Then I'm satisfied the public hearing portion has been satisfied and that no further questions will be allowed, and under law will close the hearing portion, and then I can get it read and we can vote.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Andy Kaufmann on behalf of 10159-536 Manitoba Inc. owner of the property located at 38 Sunflower Close, for a variation of the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. Whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 6 variances has been met, be it resolved that variation order number 2511 be granted subject to the one condition.
Thank you. That being read, we can get a show of hands from council for those in support of variance 2511 under Kaufmann. That is unanimous and therefore is carried. Then we'll go to item 5.3, that's variance 2510 under Himbeault. If I get a mover and a seconder for that one, please. Melinda and Andy.
We have zoning variance 25-10. The proposal is to permit the construction of an accessory building to be located closer to the roadway than the front wall of the principal building, as per section 2506B within the AR Agricultural Restricted Zoning District. This is located at 27034 Zora Road in the northwest half of 10-12-5. Mr. Himbeault is requesting council's approval to allow for the accessory building being a 48 by 50 with a 10-foot high wall to be located within the front yard. The proposed accessory building is shown having a front yard setback of 280 feet from Zora Road and would be located northeast of the dwelling shown on the site plan provided. When facing south off Zora Road, the accessory building would be difficult to see with the existing vegetation and tree line. Based on the submission provided and the site inspection conducted, I have no concerns with the placement of the accessory building. If council were to consider this variation, I would offer the following condition. Number one, that the applicant obtain the required municipal permits. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. Would Mr. Himbeault be in the audience? Is there, Mr. Himbeault, anything that's read by Dan here? Is there any questions you want to add to that at all? Okay, merci. Then what we'll do, we'll go to the public hearing portion under for inquiries, those in the audience and online. And I don't see any hands. Then we'll go to those in favor and or those in opposition in the audience or online. And I see nobody. Any questions from council at all? Same thing, no questions there. Then I'm here satisfied the public hearing portion has been met and no further questions will be allowed. It is closed. We'll read it and then we'll have a vote on variance 2510.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Marcel Himbeault and Christine Pingatori, owners of the property located at 27034 Zora Road, for a variation of the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. Whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 6 variances has been met, be it resolved that variation order number 2510 be granted subject to the one condition.
With that being read, variance 2510, can I get a show of hands under Himbeault? That is unanimous and it is therefore carried. Then we'll go to 5.4, that's conditional use 2511 under Himbeault. There, can I move our seconder, please? Patrick and Mark.
We have conditional use 25-11. The proposal is to permit a temporary additional dwelling being living quarters within an accessory building on the land, providing accommodations for the owner's father as per section 83.322 within the AR Agricultural Restricted Zoning District. This is located at 27034 Zora Road within the northwest quarter of 10-12-5. Mr. Himbeault is requesting council's approval to allow for the temporary additional dwelling on the land. Due to Mr. Marcel Himbeault, the father, with his current health concerns, have the ability to live on the same property as their son and family, which will be assisting in providing care and assistance to Mr. Marcel Himbeault with when needed. As shown in the site plan provided, the owner will be constructing a 2,400 square foot accessory building located on the east side of the property. The accessory building will consist of a portion of a storage garage, and the other area will be the temporary additional dwelling. Once the temporary additional dwelling area is no longer required, the living area within the accessory building will be converted back to an increased storage area within the accessory structure. Based on the site plan provided, the temporary additional dwelling is located approximately 450 feet from the existing single-family dwelling and will be 280 feet from Zora Road. If council were to consider this conditional use, I would offer the following 5 conditions. Number 1, that the owner shall obtain the required municipal permits. Number 2, that the immediate family member, Mr. Marcel Himbeault, shall be the only occupant of the temporary additional dwelling. Number 3, that the temporary additional dwelling shall be converted back into an accessory building when no longer occupied by Mr. Marcel Himbeault. Number 4, if there are any land transfer, the temporary additional dwelling must be converted back to an accessory building prior to the possession date. And number 5, this order shall expire and become null and void on December 31st, 2029. Thank you, Mayor Tarian.
Thank you. Mr. Himbeault, anything else you want to add at all to that? It's good. Okay, and then we'll open it up to the public hearing portion now for inquiries in the audience or online. See nothing. Then I'll open it up for those in favor and or those in opposition in the audience or online, and I see none. Any questions from council at all? Glenn?
Yeah, I have one question for the development officer. It says December 31st, 2029. I thought that the all additional temporary dwellings were 5 years.
They are. I'm counting 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Okay.
Including this year.
Okay.
Unless council wants to make it to 30.
No, and then I also thought that there was a clause that we usually add that it would come back and be renewed like
it will expire.
Yeah,
That's what the expiry date is for.
so then
So
an
it's an
application will
automatic
come back.
renewal. We
Okay.
track that to see if the occupant is still residing there. And
Nope, fair enough. I
Okay.
just took it as 4.5 years. but
okay, if council
That's-
wants to make it that,
That's fine.
Councilor Miller? Oh, sorry, Glenn.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Got you off the knees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question for the applicant or maybe the development officer. Do you know what type of dwelling you're going to have there? In other words, there is some concern, not necessarily with your application, but others, that people slap up these buildings and they aesthetically look pretty unattractive. And so I just want to ensure your neighbors and others aren't going to come to me or to council and say, you know, this guy has slapped up a building and, you know, it's nice that it's for his father and stuff. I support that. But the aesthetics, like we don't have any details of what kind of building, what it's going to look like or anything like that.
Mr. Himbeault, if you can come to the front here. We got thousands of people online that are listening to this.
I'm gonna be that lady.
Billions? Yeah, so basically it's going to be just a square shop, 10-foot walls. It's going to be vinyl sided, probably in a dark green, shingled roof. It's going to look like a regular residence. And then I'm just taking the 50-foot dimension, I'm taking about 12 feet and just splitting it off. And that's going to be my living quarters. And then the balance of it is a hobby shop for toys and whatnot. So yeah, I wanted to blend into the surroundings also. It's a beautiful little spot there, lots of evergreens, and I'm trying to make it so that it fits in there, and that's what I'm shooting for. And quite frankly, you can't see it from anywhere. The south neighbor, none of the neighbors can see it. So I think you're fine.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I saw your lot configuration. I know Zora quite well. So yeah, I don't think it'll blend in quite well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah. The other question is, and maybe this is development officer information, but how does that building tie into his septic? I assume septic lagoon and or.
No, it's just going to be a holding tank. Again, it's only me in there. So I'm putting in a holding tank, drilling a well, and that's it. It's pretty basic. I'm simple.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Any other questions? No other questions, and I'm satisfied then that the public hearing portion has been met and no further question will be permitted. And then we'll read the variance or conditional use, I should say, and then we'll vote.
Whereas a public hearing has been conducted under the Planning Act to consider an application filed by Marcel Himbeault and Kristen Pingatori, owners of the property located at 27034 Zora Road for a conditional use under the Springfield zoning bylaw number 0801. Whereas council is satisfied that the requirements of Part 7 conditional uses has been met, be it resolved that conditional use order number 2511 be granted subject to the 5 conditions.
Thank you. With that being read, can I get a show of hands of those in support of a conditional use under 2511? It is unanimous and is carried. All right, that's the conclusion of the public hearing portion. Then we'll go to the planning matters. The first one will be 6.1, and that's a request for letter of concurrence for Rogers Tower under an address in Pineridge there. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Melinda and Patrick.
I could give a quick brief. The report was provided to council for a communication tower off Pine Ridge Road within 12.4. It's going to be a 51.5 meter, 170-foot tower that Scott Telecom Services on behalf of Rogers Communication is requesting. It says Scott Telecom Services has explored other towers within the area, and they stated they weren't able to find any other suitable locations to co-locate. Telecommunications is regulated by the federal government, but they still have to obtain a letter of concurrence from the municipalities to ensure that the municipality is on board with this proposal. During the 30-day notification, newspaper ads and circulation letters were done. We did receive a phone call from Miss Gail Trapaco. She had concerns related to the health concerns regarding the communication tower. I advised her to contact Scott Telecom Services, that they would be more versed in Health Canada's safety standard code 30 or code 6. I did not receive any other inquiries or written comments based on the notification, and they are requesting council's letter of concurrence. So if council were to consider this application, I would offer the following resolution. Whereas Rogers, would you like me to read it, Colleen, or no? No, okay. I won't read the resolution. So, I'm not sure if Michelle Klein is online, if council has any questions. It doesn't appear to be.
Okay, is that you're at the end of?
Thank you.
Was there any questions? Deputy Mayor had his hand up.
Yeah, I guess, I have a little concerns with this tower. Just again, I looked at it in great detail. I tried to look online. I was hoping that the applicant or somebody was online to help us out with this. But again, we can go back for more information. But I went to look on the Health Canada Safety Code 6, and I couldn't see anything specific to how far of a distance there is on Code 6 from the tower to the closest resident. And again, I could just not found it. But if there's some clarity on that, that would be helpful. Secondly, I know we've done we've had applications with towers in that area, and there's been concerns from residents. And I've received a phone call from a resident or two, and with a little bit of concerns. So when I did look at this, I also looked at it. It is in our secondary plan, and our secondary plan does go in that area, which could end up being 5-acre lots in the future. So, is that tower really in the right spot, being that could happen too? So I think, again, just on the end that I've done the research on, I have some questions to this. And then thirdly, then I have, I guess you know, I drove around the area again just to get familiar again because I was familiar with the area before being the counselor in that area. And what I saw was Terrace's tower there. There's that big tower there and in the pit area. And I just don't see why these, again, I don't understand. And I guess if somebody was online, they could help us understand why they just not trying to work out something with that tower there. And I have many questions and I don't have any answers. So I guess that's where I'm at.
Well, my opinion, if we haven't got somebody to answer our questions, even just from the one counselor, I know Councillor Miller had his hand up, and I have a few questions there as well, but I think for the record, we may as well ask the questions, and I'm more of the opinion that we should adjourn this for more information, but go ahead, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I did some research as well with the National Cancer Institutes, as well as the United Nations, who have electromagnetic field radiation standards and that are attributed throughout the world and so forth. But I would agree with you, Councillor Fuel and Mayor, that we should probably postpone this for more information. And secondly, I want to put it on record that yes, residents have called me expressing concern about the location, and I think there could be potentially additional locations. The residents who spoke to me are concerned with property values beyond how that would impact, but not only that, but of course the health concerns and just the appropriateness of it. But I think Scott Telecom and Roger should have the courtesy to at least answer some of these questions to help us guide us through it, and the residents themselves too. So I would concur with what you say about potentially postponing.
Yeah, do we have a vote for the postponement there? Everybody have a consensus to postpone this? Go ahead, Andy.
Yes, I will additionally, I'll ask how many towers we have in that area, if they can work together. Do we know, like, if could be presented to the council for the next meeting that we're gonna see how many towers is there?
Yeah.
If it's feasible to, you know, them working together. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to end it off right here. I just find that if we have this matter here, they should have the courtesy to be present to for us to ask questions. Nobody here is an IT guy when it comes to this kind of stuff here. So I find it really not very good that they can't answer our questions. So this is going to delay it there. That said, I think we'll defer this for further questions and further information. Then, unless there's other questions there, I got a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Melinda, you got a question?
Oops. When we went to the planning conference, we had a presentation done by the group.
I said.
Yeah, I said. Do we have his name? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe we have his name.
Alan
Yeah,
Pollock.
Alan
Yeah,
Pollock.
that's the
Okay,
gentleman
well,
that did it.
maybe we can do a phone call to him or something, just to get clarity on the whatever class 6.
On the health
On the health part, yeah.
regulations. Yeah, I could see if I could find him online or speak with Mr. Pollock.
Yeah.
Okay. Then with all the questions being heard and answered, I think if I can get a mover and a seconder for adjournment, please. Melinda and Andy. And then at at 6:34, we will close the meeting agenda, planning agenda for April 24th. Thank you very much.